programming the hacked Code Junkies PS5 controller, but where's the app that we've been promised? I just showed so many people how to use a hacked controller to totally cheat completely undetected. For those of you new to the channel, I'm Anton, a power engineer, industrial mechanic, and a Red Seal electrician. We cover all kinds of products and topics in an approachable way for the average everyday person. I'm glad you found us. Hello and welcome back to Gears and Tech. We reviewed the Code Junkies PS5 controller on this channel already. If you have not seen those videos, I will try to catch you up to speed. Quite simply, this is one of the cheapest not authorized PlayStation 5 controllers for your PlayStation 5, which does a lot of interesting stuff inside of it to make the PlayStation think that this is an official licensed PlayStation 5 controller, actually using it as a Dualsense controller, which makes it very hard to block. But this is, in every sense of the term, a hacked controller because it does a lot of really cool things. Now, this controller is completely programmable on the controller, but many of you guys have said, I'm having a hard time carrying out the programming methods. And in all honesty, so am I. I've actually reviewed how to program the controller and it gets confusing. You don't get a lot of good feedback and you're not quite sure what you're doing. So many of you have figured it out, which is great for you. But many people have said, where is the app? Well, guess what? The app is here and we are going to test programming this controller on the app right now. Now, the first thing we need to do when we are using the app is the controller needs to be connected to something first. So in my case, I'm going to connect it to my computer simply so that I can keep an eye on the inputs and everything. Now, if you don't have a computer, it's okay because you can connect this to your PlayStation 5 and then that will work. It'll work with the app. It just needs to be connected to a device. So now if I connect it to my computer, I am using Controller Upgrader version 1.2. Now this is a software that I got directly from the Datel team for just testing purposes. So you may not have this software. If you want to see this in action for yourselves, if we look up hardware gamepad tester, you can see here, it will say connect your controller. So I'm gonna go like this, and now it is showing on here a Xero wireless controller. And you can see if I move the analog stick around and do the buttons and the triggers and everything, I can see all of that on Gamepad Tester. Now, the reason I'm not going to use Gamepad Tester for my review is because this is actually going to give me a better view of the back buttons and all of the buttons on the controller as well as the touchpad, as you can see here. So for the testing purposes, and as we do some of the magic, it's going to be more easy to see on here. But when you're doing this programming, you can do it on your system in your game in real time. That's a very, very cool feature, which is really exciting. So I'm excited to test this out. So I just don't want to confuse anybody. If you want to test it on a computer like you're doing here, which you don't have to, you can use the Gamepad Tester or the hardware tester website, and it'll do most of what we're doing, okay? But for our test, I'm going to use this software right here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is open up the Xero wireless controller app. We are connected to a device. So I'm connected to the PC, so I'm good. I'm going to say scan for controller. Now it's going to do a quick scan and it finds my Xero AF7BC1. That is the unique product code of my controller. Don't try to hack it, please. It's not connected very often, so good luck to you. But if I click the button to connect to the controller, it is now connecting to the controller. This allows me to program the different profiles on the controller, as you can see here. So now we've got the profile manager. Now I've pre-set up one profile. So if I go into profile 1, you can see I got a lot of stuff on here, but that doesn't help you guys. So I'm gonna show you from the start as if you have no profiles. So I'm gonna program profile number 5. Now the cool thing that happens here right off the bat is the app lights up the indicators here to tell me what profile I'm looking at. So right now I'm on 5, let's say profile 2. So you can see the app has changed the light, so only 2 lights are lit up. So now I know I'm programming profile number 2. If I were to program profile number 1, there you go, it's on profile number 1. Now I can toggle between the profiles by pushing the share button, as you can see here, which toggles through the different profiles that are active on the controller. But as you can see, I'm still programming profile number 1 on the profile manager. So I'm going to go to profile number 5. That's the one that I'm programming. So we are connected here. You can see I have nothing on here yet. So I'm going to say add. Now, what would you like to add? Our options are button remap. So that allows me to change any of the buttons on here to any other button. So if you don't like the bottom button being the cross button, for whatever reason, you can make it the circle or the square or the triangle, or, I mean, let's try it. Let's see what buttons I can swap. So here you can see I have the option to pick which button I want to remap. So in this case, I'm remapping the right arrow key on the D-pad, and I can rechange it to any one of these. Now, why would you? I don't really know, but let's change this one, and I can change that one to be L3. So if you don't want to wear out your button pushing down all the time, or it's worn out for whatever reason, you can change one of the back buttons to be L3. Now can I, I can I can have it do, this is gonna be good. I play a lot of Call of Duty, okay? So those of you who play Call of Duty, you're gonna get the point of this really soon. So in Call of Duty, R2 is the fire button, okay? So I wanna know, can I make R2, and I can make it push L3. Now why L3? L3 is this button right here, which is the hold your breath button. Now when you hold your breath, it makes your shooting stabilized, okay? So for those of you who are quick scopers, this would do it. You can actually, I guess I can make it be R1, R2, and L3, which would make every time I pull this button, it'll quick scope and it'll hold my breath and it'll shoot, okay? Now I can prove this. This should be active right away. If I push this button on the software, it's going to show that those 3 buttons are activated. So let me see, and there it is. So I push it down, so you can see L3. Oh, I picked the wrong button, and now you can see right off. So I picked R1. I didn't want R1. I wanted L2. L2, R2, and L3, so that I quick scope, shoot, and hold breath. So now I've changed it on the app. Let me see, and there it is, right? Boom, just like that. I'm quick scoping just by pulling the trigger. Awesome. Okay, let's leave that active. Now I want to program the back buttons, okay? Now these aren't just back buttons. These are not single programmable. So in my case, I always program this one to the O button, and I always program this one to the cross button. And that's just so I can slide and jump without any hassle. So those are my back buttons for that, right? So let's say I want to do slide cancel. Now many of you know what slide cancel is, but those of you who don't, it just exploits the movement on Call of Duty. So that's where you start by doing a slide and then you immediately cancel the slide to go back into a faster motion. So many of you would go slide and then jump. You just tap the X button to jump so that you come up from the slide and then keep sprinting. It resets the sprint time, okay? So I'm gonna make that be L3. So this is gonna push slide, X, and sprint. And then that would be a slide cancel. So now if I push this, you can see it activate all of those by pushing this one button, boom, slide, jump, run. Now, because there's no delays programmed in here, and it doesn't look like I can program a delay, it looks like it's gonna just activate all at the same time. So in this case, it may not work exactly as intended. So if not, then I would just go O for slide, and then I would know that I have to push the other back button, X, for my slide cancel, right? But I could, if I wanted to, make this macro be X and L3, to go into a jump and sprint, okay? So that would work, okay? We can reprogram the L3 button. Now the buttons that we can't reprogram are the touchpad, obviously, the share button, the option button, the PS button, and the mic button. But most of the time you're not gonna wanna remap those anyway, so it's not a big deal. That is button remapping. You see how simple it is. We've got a graphic and it's instant. So if you were in the game and you were trying to play with different settings and stuff, trying to get it just right, you just open up the app just like this, and then you just tinker with it. Fiddle with it, right? And then it'll do it instantly. So you just push the buttons and then test it, and then push the buttons and then test it. What are some other things that we can test? So we can leave those on profile 5 if we want, or I can delete them. I'll leave them for now. Now there's a couple other things I want to add. The most interesting is anti-recoil. Now, this is full on into cheating territory. So if you are in competitive gaming and you are using a lot of these, I'm going to call them hacks, then you are cheating, okay? don't think you're a god because you can cheat better than somebody else. So if you're in a truly competitive game, don't turn on some of these features because it's actually not fair and it's cheating. And if you're caught, you'll just get banned from the tournament or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're playing just for fun with your friends and you're screwing around, whatever, do whatever you want. I don't care. Okay. So anti-recoil. This is awesome. Okay. Now you're going to want to do this mostly in the game because it is fully tunable. So what we want to do is recoil compensation while we are pressing the R2 button. So we're going to say R2 is the compensation, and the adjustment we want to do is on the L3 control pad. So we're going to highlight L3 and R2. Now it's asking us, what is the XY coordinate of the compensation that you want to do? Now in my case, I'm going to go extreme to this bottom corner, and I'm only going to do that so that you guys can see what it does. So watch what happens. When I pull the trigger here, I should get anti-recoil compensation. And when I push this, do you see how the analog stick gets immediately pulled down and to the left? Okay. Now the way you decide which way you want it to go, it's always going to be down because when you shoot, the gun goes up in the air. But sometimes it'll go up and to the left or up and to the right. So you just need to counter that with an even amount of down and over to the left or the right. Now, if we look up online real quick, we can see the assault rifle recoil patterns of many of the guns. So you can see the AK-74, the GPR-91, the Model L, whatever. If you don't want to look this up, the easiest way to find out what the recoil pattern is for the loadout that you do is to go stand against a wall and just simply pull this trigger and it will activate the gun and the bullet spray will mark itself out on the wall. So if the spray goes up and to the left, well then you want your recoil to go down and to the right. If the spray goes up and to the right, you need the recoil to be down and to the left. So once you figure that out, you can move this around until you get the exact amount of down and the exact amount of right that you need so that that recoil is locked on. Now this is where it's important to know what your loadout is. You could save all 5 different slots as the different guns that you use that have these specially tuned anti-recoil settings, right? So when you first drop and you've got just the drop guns, you can have profile 1. And then when you pick up your loadout, you can switch to profile 2, which has your anti-recoil settings. Now, again, we can pull this trigger and it immediately just adjusts it. So when I go to the top left, then it goes there top left instead of down left, okay? So it's all different kinds of options. Now we can also set our R value. So you can see now I'm programming the R value to go up and over. Now, most people aren't playing with the R value. You can for better recoil, but it's really fine tuning to make the R3 one work. So I would not fiddle with the R3. I would really just stick with the L3 and just make that get moved. Okay, something like that. We're not going to go super far. Now you can also tie this to your L2 as well, which some people do. Okay, you can apply a little bit of L2 to it so that when you aim, it also activates your recoil compensation. So you can say, well, you know, I'm going to hold L2 instead to activate the compensation, and then I don't have to have it tied to R2, which can be a strategy that you guys use. Those of you who've used a Cronus Zen before and you know how the programming works, this gives you a lot of the same control that the Cronus Zen scripts do without needing a Zen, and it's an official PlayStation 5 controller. So suddenly, I know I'm gonna get downvotes for this and people are gonna dislike this video because I just showed so many people how to use a hacked controller to totally cheat completely undetected. Now that is the anti-recoil. Again, you're gonna play with that to get it right. Let's just run through some of the other options that we haven't looked at yet. Stick calibration. I actually haven't played with this too much. Stick calibration gives us the ability to adjust how the stick movement actually interacts. So I'm gonna go extreme, okay? Now this is the left stick. That means now if I move the left stick just a little bit, it's gonna, wow, okay, so I've made it so that it just jumps. I move it a little bit here and it goes to full lock immediately, okay? Now, what's the practical use case for this? Not a whole lot. You probably are not going to want to do it like this, but you can do any curve you like. Have you seen the Dualsense Edge? You know, the $300 controller? Well, guess what? It has this feature too, and you use it through the PlayStation settings, where you can adjust your curve to be more like this. So that makes it so that it really ramps up towards the end, but you get really precise movement around the midpoint of this controller. Tons and tons of precise movement. Now, you can invert your XY, you can circularize it, which means basically make it so that it fits within the circular ability. And if you don't, I mean, we should be pretty circular anyway, but you can compensate for a bad analog stick if you wanted to. Now that's the left stick. We can go like this and do the exact same thing to the right stick. I'm not going to change these, okay? Because I'm used to using them the way that I'm used to using them. So I'm gonna delete that from this profile, but you can add it, okay? The other thing we can do is vibration tuning. Now for vibration tuning, I go like this and I turn it off, and for audio, I go like this and I turn it off. But you can adjust your audio to 50%, just locked, boom, 50%. You can adjust your vibration to say, only do a max of 50% vibration. Here's the trick, okay? When you are playing games like Call of Duty, first-person shooter games, you actually want the vibration turned off, because the controller reduces the sensitivity of your analog sticks and your triggers when the vibration's on. So if you turn it off, then it gives you full sensitivities for all of those settings so that it doesn't interfere with itself, really is what that is. Now I turn the audio off because I use a headset, so I'm gonna leave this profile on here that forces these two features off. I've got one more to add, and that is trigger calibration. Oh man, back to you guys with your Dualsense Edge controllers. You have trigger calibration and you love it, and I know you love it. So check this out. I've got trigger calibration. So now because I changed my button mapping to this one, this is like a short throw trigger. So if I just move it a little bit, you can watch the on screen here, move it just a little bit, it fully activates 100% trigger pull, okay? So this is acting more like a button press, and it's giving me my aiming and my shooting and my holding my breath, okay? So I'm not gonna show you on that one, but if I pull the L2 button, so you can see it starts light blue and it gets a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker, a little bit darker till it's at full. You can see the number there, it says X equals 0, then it says X equals 90, 100, 150, 200, all the way up to 250. That's full pull. So if I adjust the sensitivity of the trigger, I'm gonna do this like this. And what that does is it creates this dead zone where if I move it just a little bit, it goes to full lock. So this works now like a short throw trigger. It doesn't matter how much I pull it. I can pull it all the way and it's still, here you guys can see here, I can pull it a little bit, it goes to full lock, 255, right? That's maximum. If I go all the way, it's still 255. So this will give me the fastest trigger activation because it goes from 0 to 100, 0 to 100. This is horrible for racing games because it's going to just always be full throttle or full brake. But on your first-person shooters, this is great. Now, we can go the other way where we can say, you know, give me a little bit of dead zone in the front, like this, where I can pull it a little bit more and it just gives me a little bit more softness to it, just like what we saw with the analog stick activation. So you can really fine-tune and play with that. Now, basically, because this does the same thing as the Dualsense Edge controller, if you're trying to tweak the settings of the analog sticks and or the triggers for best performance for your game, if you found a tutorial online that says, here's the best configuration for your profile for this game, for a sports game, for a racing game, for a fighting game, for whatever, all of the same settings would be appropriate for here. So you can go into this same app, you can adjust those settings exactly the same as your Dualsense Edge, and you will get the exact same feedback without the money. Keep in mind, this is cheaper than the PlayStation 5 Dualsense controller, but it gives you all of the same features as the Dualsense Edge controller. Plus it gives you a lot more features because the Edge will not give you that anti-recoil. Now, I've turned off a bunch of my profiles, but we already did have everything. So this will let you add all of the profiles or none of the profiles. And you can go in and adjust and change your mapping to do whatever it is that you want, and it'll save those on there. Now I just adjusted the left trigger. I did not touch the right trigger because I had that mapped to those other buttons. So my anti-recoil has stayed. Everything is still on here. exactly how I did it. Now that is saved to profile 5. Now again, I can go like this and I can toggle between the profiles. There I'm on profile 1, profile 2, 3, 4, and now I'm on 5. So if that's the profile I want to run for whatever game I'm running, boom, instantly locked into the profile that I'm looking for. Now this is the first version of this app. If you're wondering where you can get it, it is out on the Play Store. Those of you who have an iOS device, don't worry, you can also use the app. All you have to do is get rid of your iOS device and get yourself an Android device and then install it from the Play Store, which is actually probably not a bad idea because you don't know it, but once you switch to Android, you'll never want your iOS device again. But we all know. Now, if this thing is pretty cool to you, like it is to me, I will put a link in the description where you can pick one of these guys up. They have been extremely popular and they've been able to keep up with demand, which is wonderful. And for those of you who are saying, I've seen something that looks just like this on Temu or on AliExpress, it is not the same controller. The shell looks the same, but if you open it up, it does not have the chip inside here that is doing all of the things that we just did. Okay, so don't think you're going to save yourself some money getting that cheaper one. You have to get this one. And I will put a link in the description where you can pick that up. If you have questions about it, I'm here to answer questions. I'm actually not here to answer questions, but I don't mind answering your questions. So you can post them in the comments below. Also, if you have one of these controllers, let me know. I'd love to hear what your experience has been. I have heard some people have had build quality issues. In my experience, this controller is pretty good. It's a budget controller. It does have Hall effect sticks, which are good. You can always calibrate and recenter the controller, which would be great sometimes if you're having any issues like that. So the app really unlocks a lot of those features. Now, I am working with the Datel team to provide feedback on this app. So if you guys have any feedback on the app, you can post that in the comment as well. And I'll make sure to pass that on to the Datel Code Junkies team because this product is actually pretty good, especially considering it is unofficial. It is not an official licensed product and they don't make any apologies about that. They say it quite clearly in all of their marketing materials. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video and we'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.